the first thing you got to understand is that real estate is as much about reading comprehension as it is about anything else. Your client doesn't know a contract from a listing agreement from a buyer's agency agreement. They know nothing about it. But you are going to be the broker. Therefore, you have to be the person who has to be able to read and comprehend and decipher offers for listings or even writing an offer for your client. So that's why words matter. Every single one of them, right? If it's an and, that means both. If it's an or, that means one or the other. Both very small words, but it could change the entire context of what we're looking at here. So be very, very careful about reading questions. Make sure that you're not grazing. Grazing questions are going to kill you, okay? Absolutely, if you skim questions to get to an answer, you are going to get slaughtered. And the sad part is that you're going to know the answer, but you're going to have misread the question. And as we go forward, you're going to see that they're going to, especially when we get into the math, they know, people who put the test together know how you're going to figure it out wrong. And guess what? That answer is going to be there. It's going to be one of your 4 choices. So you have to have confidence in the fact that you're doing it correctly, which means you have to study each one of these questions. You have to be able to stay on game, stay in the line, right? So when you're doing math problems, right, you make sure we're going to do those right. Now, everybody always asks me, are you going to give me the formulas on the test? No. Everybody always asks if we're going to be able to bring a cheat sheet to the test. No. You get 2 blank sheets of paper and a calculator. They will check your desk area and they'll check all of those other things and they'll make sure that your calculator is right and make sure nothing else is open. So it's going to have to be in your brain, and a certain amount of things have to be there also. Okay. So like that timeshare, those 5, right? The rights of rescission, 5 time periods over 5 years with a 5-day right of rescission, those kind of things, they're not going to be there for you. All right. So you got to make sure. In the national portion, there's 80 questions. And the reason I say this now is because I want you to practice it. I want you to practice it because it's not so easy. Read every question like it is a test. Each individual question, read it. Okay, what do I have here? What are they asking me? And then answer the question. All right. Now, we're not going to ask you what is the correct answer. We're going to ask you what is the best answer. And that's different. Okay. The best answer says that, okay, I can eliminate 2 junky answers. I know that they're not part of it, but the other 2 are close. But if I was the real estate commission, what one would I tell a brand new licensee? That's the right answer. Okay. You could probably make a case for the other answer, but it may be maybe the long way workaround. But always put yourself in, okay, if I was the real estate commission, what would I tell a brand new licensee how to handle this situation? That's got to be the answer. Okay, that's got to be the answer. All right, so think of it in that type of direction. And I want you to start practicing. And I don't want you, I can promise you, if you misread a question and you get like, if you miss the test by like 2 questions and you go back and you check it, I'm willing to bet that you misread 3 or 4 questions. And you're going to have known the answers if you read it the right way. And that's the difference between passing and failing. Now, part 2 of my little diatribe on questions. Don't go back and change your answers. Period. If you've taken a test and you get to something and you say, okay, I'm not quite sure, but I think this is A. Move on, go answer the rest. Now, if you go answer 5 more questions and then you realize that, oh no, if this answer is this, then that answer I have to go change. Well, then by all means, go change it. But don't get to the end and start going back and looking at questions and saying, well, it could be the other one. It could be, well, you know what? I can make a case for this. I'm going to guarantee you, and I will be 70% correct, that you will change it from the right answer to the wrong answer. Right about 70% of answers that get changed from the right and from one answer to another were correct to begin with. So unless you have stone cold proof, empirical proof somewhere down the line in the test, don't go back and change it. Don't talk yourself out of it. All right? Because when you find out that you changed from the right answer to the wrong answer, who are you going to be mad at? Me? No, you can't be mad at me. Right? You're going to be mad at yourself. And that's, those are, anybody play tennis? What do they call that? Unforced errors, right? Unforced errors. You hit the ball out of bounds. That's your fault, right? Your competitor didn't beat you. So understand this. Math questions, they're going to give you, they know how you're going to figure it out wrong, and they're going to give it to you. Don't go changing answers if you got somewhere in your subconscious, you knew the answer. You just didn't come to your forefront. All right. So go with it. And then the third thing is make sure you read every single word that's in those questions. Every word. Okay. And I will say that again when we get towards the end of the class, just as a friendly reminder, but I want you to start practicing it now. When we're still doing these questions, and we're going to start popping quizzes pretty soon. Once we get through enough material, we're going to throw up some quizzes. We're going to do them in class. We're going to make sure that you understand all these things, and you're going to be graded. We're going to do them on SurveyMonkey. All right. None of the quizzes that are in the Dropbox, in your Dropbox, have answer keys to them. All right. There's a reason, because we're going to do a lot of them in class, and I want to be able to go through them in SurveyMonkey. All right, SurveyMonkey is, we're going to practice it. You're going to click on a link. It's going to take you to the questions, and you're going to get an automatic grade when you're done. Your goal is 75% on everything we do, right? So if you take the quiz and you get a 60%, you got more work to do. If you take the quiz and get 100, congrats. Put it in your back pocket and go. Move on, right? So try to keep those in. All right. All right, Hunter's offering. Okay, so we know about joint and then trade fixtures. Keep in mind, big thing about trade fixtures is that when you purchase fixtures for your trade, you have to get them out in order to keep them before the lease expires. That's the key there, right? You're going to put all that stuff in there. Think of your local pizzeria or any other shop that you happen to frequent, right? Hairdresser, whatever. They have equipment in there that they need. It's theirs. It belongs to the tenant. But on the day after the lease expires, right? The lease expires on the 20th, on the 21st, that becomes real property of the landlord, right? The tenant no longer owns it. Tenant no longer owns it. Okay, so we don't want them to lose it. It's a lot of money. It's a big investment. All right. So let's look at some things that we probably should know about strategy and questions. Now, I gave you some before, and this is how they want us to look at it, but it makes sense. All right, so test questions need to be untangled. All right, read the question thoroughly, completely, twice before you look at the answers. Each of these questions are an individual test, and that's like the way I want you to think of it. All right, I have question number 1. This is an exam. I have to get this right, okay? Question number 2, question number 3, move on, right? Read them, read them, read them. Pay attention to adjectives, permanently attached, new condo purchases. There's a difference between a new condo purchase and a resale, right? We just talked about it. Usually 2 of the multiple choice answers can be easily ruled out, all right? And then we kind of talked about one of the remaining answers is considered the distractor. The distractor will have some element of truth, but will not be 100% accurate, okay? All right, let's look at this question. The MLS and all of the property advertising lists the installed spa as an exclusion to the sale of a home. The buyer's first contract requests the spa to be included. The seller counters to increase the price and remove the spa. After a number of back and forth verbal negotiations, the buyer's broker writes a new offer which is accepted. The new contract fails to mention the spa. In this case at closing, what will happen to the spa? Okay, what will happen to the spa? A, the seller may take it since the buyer was given notice. B, the spa must be left with the property since it's a fixture and was not excluded in the purchase agreement. C, the spa may be taken since it's personal property and was not included in the purchase agreement. Or D, the seller may take the spa, but will need to pay the buyer the cost to replace it. All right. So we want to look at this question now and make sure that we understand what's here. Okay, make sure we want to understand what's here. So A, the seller may take it since the buyer was given notice. Okay, the only notice that counts is what in the contract where it is not mentioned. Now, something that we haven't talked about yet, but we're going to talk about it right now. If you and I have a week's worth of oral conversations and then we write a contract and we don't put what we discussed in the contract, it doesn't exist. We never had the words. Okay. It has to be within that 16 pages of our sales contract. 16 pages. Everything that the two parties decide to do must be in there. If it is not in there and any associated addendums, then it didn't exist. There is no arguments. Okay. It is hard scrabble, 16 pages inside there. All right. So verbal offers or verbal discussions, or you said you were going to leave the washing machine and you didn't. Where is it in the contract? If it's not in the contract, it doesn't happen. All right. So the answer to this one was the spa must be left with the property since it is a fixture and was not excluded in the purchase agreement. Right. Correct answer. Right. So it says it's an installed spa. Right. The spa may be, letter C, the spa may be taken since it's personal property. It is installed in the question stimulus, tells you it's a fixture, so it's incorrect. Letter D, the seller may take the spa, but will need to pay the buyer the cost to replace. No, you have to have some sort of written agreement to be able to do that. Right? You have to have some sort of written agreement. Now, Hunter's saying that there was a question on the exam very similar to this. The answers are pretty straightforward, but the question is pretty bulky, isn't it? There's a lot of question in there. That's why you got to tear it apart. What is this? What are the words? Here's a big word right here. Install. One word, right? That installed spa matters. Permanent fixture, right? Method of attachment. Adaptation. What's the intent of the owners? All right. All of the following, question, all of the following are included in the bundle of legal rights except A, the right of control of the property, B, the right of enjoyment, C, the right of exclusion, D, the right of survivorship. All right. Find out which one of these does not fit. One of these things is not like the other. Okay, there you go. So the first three are part of your deep C, but D, the right of survivorship, is not included in that bundle of legal rights. That is false. Okay, that is false. So we're looking for the outlier here. We're looking for the outlier. Okay, all right. Okay, in real estate, another word for estate is what? In real estate, what's another word for our estate? Yeah, absolutely. Our interest in real property. How much do we own? Do we own 10 houses? Do we own one? What do we own? Right? Do we own farmland that was handed down to us? What's our interest in it? That's our estate. All right. Now, this is in real estate significantly. Second question, a person is deeded land on the condition that they continue to use it for farming. This is an example of what? This is an example of what? They have to continue to use it. Remember, there was two types. One is they can't do it in the future, and one is they have to continue to do it. There you go. It is a fee simple determinable. Fee simple determinable. Okay. Fee simple subject to a condition subsequent means that you can't do this in the future. In this particular case, you have to continue using it. Okay. A person is deeded a riverfront property to be used as an event venue on the condition that they do not serve alcohol on the property. This is an example of what? Condition subsequent, right? Condition subsequent. Now, if it is a condition subsequent, what do I have to do to get my property back? I got to do what? Got to go to court. Condition subsequent means I got to go to court. The C, right? The C, condition subsequent. I got to go to court, got to tell the magistrate my story, and he'll give it back to me. If it's determinable, it's an automatic reversion. I just got to let somebody know that I'm taking it back, and then the sheriff will put me back in place. But in this particular case, a condition subsequent is going to be based on a court order. Okay, based on a court order. Which form of life estates allows for the property to be inheritable? Inheritable. It's only for a short period of time, but this is our life estate per autre vie. Remember we had Junior with the big hair, right? I'm jealous of Junior's big hair, again. And we had Grandpop and we had Dad, and Dad was the measuring life, right? And Dad was still alive, but Junior passed away, but Junior had 2 kids and a wife. Well, as long as Dad's still alive and he's the per autre vie, the 2 kids and the wife can stay there until Dad passes, okay? Because Dad's the measuring life. So it is temporarily inheritable, all right? Dad passes, then it's over, all right? So that is why it is inheritable partially. Which form of concurrent ownership does not allow for survivorship within? Does not allow for survivorship within. Which one? There you go. Who else got it? Tenants in common, right? There's no survivorship here. Tenancy in common. You can leave it for your heirs, right? You can leave it for your heirs. Your will is the predominant factor. That's what happens, all right? Married people most often own property as what? Which one do married people? What's the default position in North Carolina? Tenancy by the entirety. Tenancy by the entirety. And just what it says there, the entirety is both of you. You both own it, okay? All right. Tenancy by the entirety. 3 unmarried friends purchase a home together near Boone, North Carolina as joint tenants. One of the owners decides to sell their interest to their cousin. The new owner would have what type of ownership interest in the property? The new owner would have what? Yeah, there you go. That new owner is going to be tenant in common because it doesn't have one of the 4 possessions, right? One of the 4 interests: possession, interest, time, and title. One of the 4 unities, they call them the unities, all right? Possession, interest, time, title. Okay. Now, the other 2, the original 2, would still have what type of undivided ownership? Yeah, they would have joint, right? They would still have joint tenancy. Regardless, it would be smaller pieces maybe, but it would still be joint tenancy and one goes to the other, right? That does not change. True or false? A custom installed ceiling fan is an example of personal property since the owner of the house installed it himself. Yeah, it is a fixture. Why? By method of attachment, right? Anything permanently attached is considered a fixture. It'll convey with the sale of the home. All right. Now, if I got into a contract and said I wanted to take that fan, it was an heirloom, and the buyer signs the contract and says it's okay, can I? Sure, right? Anything we can agree to. So nothing's an absolute. Anything a buyer and seller can agree to, we can change the contract to read. Okay. So yes, on the straight out without too much craziness, yeah, it's attached, it's staying, it's fine. If I ask for it, or if I want to take it with me, and the buyer says, yeah, it's okay, go ahead, make sure you wrote it in the contract, and then yeah, you can take it. Okay, you can take it. All right, new condominiums. New condominium sales have a how many day right of rescission? Condos have 7-day rights of rescissions. New timeshares have how many days right of rescission? Right of rescission is how to get out of it, right? 55. Who's got 55 days? I'll take 5 though. All right. That's all right. I double punch keys all the time. And new townhome sales have how many day right of rescissions? You guys must have the files right in front of you, right? You got the slides right in front of you? I see big things for this class. You all got the answers. None. None. All right? None. All right. Condo 7 days, timeshares 5 days, townhome none. Now, condominium only on new sales, not resales, new construction, new development. Okay? Remember that. True or false, a timeshare must hold all monies collected towards purchasing a property in a trust account for at least 5 days after contract formation. There you go. All right, it has to be in there for 10 days. It's false, right? 10 days. So technically, this is true. It's got to be at least 5 days, but it must be 10 days. There you go. False. Monies must be held in trust account for at least 10 days. True or false? John and Brenda own their property as tenancy by the entirety. In their will, they specifically state that their son will inherit the property. Upon John's death, their son will receive a 50% ownership interest. True or false? Yeah, the survivorship supersedes any will that's out there. So the son doesn't get it until Brenda goes somewhere. All right. The surviving spouse or the surviving partners get everything. All right. By tenancy by the entirety, it has to be a surviving spouse. But joint tenants with rights to survivorship, the surviving partners or whoever bought it, purchasers, would get the share that that the person who's deceased would get. All right, this type of ownership blends severalty ownership with tenancy in common. Severalty ownership with tenancy in common. So I own it in severalty. I own my unit in severalty, but I also have tenants in common in the swimming pool. What is that? There you go. Some of you got it now. All right. If I have a condo, I own my unit alone, me and whomever else. But that's ownership in severalty. Nobody else from the unit, the 100 people that are there. But I own that pool with 100 other people. So I have tenancy in common with them. I have ownership in severalty with my unit, and that I can sell or trade or do whatever I want with. Okay. The bundle of legal rights applies specifically to A, real property, or B, A, real estate, or B, real property. Right, real property. Now, real estate is the land and then any permanent fixtures you put on it, right? That's real estate. Real property is the bundle of legal rights, your deep sea. Right? 3 friends, Jimmy, Joey, and Julie, purchase a condo at Blowing Rock as joint tenants. Each of them later wills their property interest to their children. Upon Joey's death, who owns the property? Jimmy, Joey, and Julie purchase a condo at Blowing Rock as joint tenants. Each of them later wills their property interest to their children. Upon Joey's death, who owns the property? There you go. Jimmy and Julie will own the property as joint tenants. All right. Again, survivorship overrides any wills that might be out there.
If you like this video, feel free to share it with a friend. For more real estate education content, please subscribe to the channel. From all of us at Seacoast Real Estate Academy, thank you for watching.